Geocachomaniacs.
Geo Gearheads.
Welcome back to the Geo Gearheads. This is episode 498. I'm Darryl W4, soon to be joined by Chris of the Northwest, who's running a little late, but we figured I'd better get started without him. Which is kind of ironic since tonight's show is going to be attending Mega and Giga events, which it's been a really long time since we talked about this one. Last time we talked about this was May 11th of 2018, back on show 332. So over 3 years ago since we talked about Mega and Giga events, because, well, we haven't had too many Mega and Giga events for the last year and a half or so. So very excited to be going to the first Mega Giga event that I've had in year and a half plus, maybe a little bit more. And that's going to be the Midwest Geobash this weekend. So if you're going to be down there, once again, I'd love to see, listeners, viewers, that kind of stuff at the event. Message me on geocaching.com if you're going to be there, and we'll see if we can actually meet up. But tonight we are just talking about, in general, how to attend Mega and Gigas and get the most out of them, be well prepared. So kicking it off, we're going to start with the things to consider before the event. And of course, the first thing to take a look at is the registration. The different events, Megas and Gigas, will usually have registration packages that you can purchase. Sometimes you can get them for free if it's like the basic stuff. Almost everyone does have, it's free to attend. But if you want any of the swag, if you want any of the food, then you have to pay extra for it. And I always encourage people to do that. Not only does it support the event and, pay for the events to actually happen, but it gives the cool stuff to take home, especially that event swag. Now, the food, especially with some of the bigger events that are in those far off areas, that you have to really plan for the food in advance. So getting that food in the package saves you a lot of time. And Pizza Ninja asked if going for a VIP package is worth it. I would always say it's something to consider. Some of the events that I've done, like going caching, it has been well worth it. You get a few extra snacks at the one that I went to, which helped out because we used that for some water on the warmer days while we were at the event hanging out. There you got the parking that saved time. So it really did give you a few extra perks. It also helps to support the event better. Some of the other events, it doesn't really make sense for like the parking, because the parking isn't such a big deal. You'll sometimes get the extra VIP coins and shirts. So it's definitely worth considering. It's up to you if you can afford to do it. I always like to do it in order to support the event better. And generally, I never regretted getting a VIP package. That said, the VIP doesn't exist on a lot of the packages. That's a newer thing that just started popping up in the last few years. And I think even the last time we talked about it, it was just, back 3 years ago, it was just starting to pop up. So definitely a good thing to do. But when you're looking at those packages, make sure to take a look at the food. If it's one of those ones that has the food, it's always a good resource to have. But make sure that it's food that you can eat and understand how that all works. Because we've had a few times that people have complained that, I wasn't able to get back to the tent, to the grounds in time and didn't get it. And that is one of the things to consider is if you're not planning on staying on the grounds during the event, then the food itself is probably not worth doing. But of course, there's all that event swag that's worth doing. And you get the VIP packages, you'll probably get a bunch of that swag. But almost always there's that swag, whether it's part of the package or individual. More and more, I'm seeing that you have to pre-order the swag or you're not going to get it. Next thing on the list is the lodging, which is always a big issue, especially for those events in rural areas, because you've got a lot of people coming into a small space that normally won't get that many people. So like the Midwest Geobash is at the county fairgrounds. A lot of people go to the fair. Not a whole lot of people, I gather, actually stay at the hotels near the fairgrounds. So there are a few hotels and they tend to fill up fast. So when I looked shortly after we confirmed that Midwest Geobash looked like it was on, there were only Saturday nights available in most of the hotels, and the Friday nights rather available at most of the hotels, and the Saturday night, which is the one that most people really look for, those were going for a premium. I would say double what I was seeing for some of the weeks leading up to it. So keep that in mind. Your lodging, the earlier you can book it, the better you're going to be, and expect to pay a little bit more than usual. And what I'm also hearing is this year, the rates at a lot of these hotels are much higher than they have been in the past. So that's something else to keep in mind before you make your plans. Check the lodging, make sure you have something available within a reasonable distance if you're going to be staying overnight, and make sure that it's something that you can justify spending. All of the traveling is costing more, so it's something to watch out for and budget as you can. And Chris of the Northwest just popped in as I'm halfway through my things to remember before the event.
Oh, Darryl, sorry. I was at an event and it was running late, so I just got here.
Man, you were doing your research and you lost track of time.
Yeah. Okay, not really. That would be a fun thing to say. My daughter is moving today. Why today? I don't know. But
why not today?
Today is it, and she needed some help moving large items, and well, that's when Dad comes in.
Yeah, that's when Dad comes in and pays for the mover?
No, I'm the mover. I'm too cheap to pay for a mover.
See, in the last move I did, I paid the movers to do most of it. Still ended up doing way too much moving myself, but yeah. Kind of one of those, I just never want to do that again. My beer and pizza to help move days are over.
Exactly. Okay. I know we're talking about events, gigas, megas.
Yep.
But I'll just say the neighbor saw us come in. He moved his vehicles out of the way so we could park right next to the stairs. Nice. And then he helped us move. I was like, no, you don't have to do that. He goes, come on, I'm only 70. I'm like, no, please. So I told my son, when you drive back, stop at some fast food place and get him a gift card.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow. Thank you. What a nice guy. And you meet people like that when you're geocaching at mega events. How's that for a segue? I threw it right to you.
That just kind of baffles me because I don't know how many times I've wanted to get up the stairs at a mega event and had someone blocking it with their car.
With their U-Haul truck. Well, maybe one of the vendors unloading.
Maybe, but they're usually not at the staircases. But I'm trying to think the last time that I had a staircase in a mega event.
No. I'm trying to think. It was like Geocoin Fest. No, the bathrooms weren't upstairs. I don't know.
Giga stock, they did have dining and stuff upstairs.
Yes, they did. Yes, we saw some listeners up there. We met some listeners face to face.
We did.
Very nice.
And lunch with them. That was a lot of fun. And I think that's another one of those ones where we got the package with the food, and it was all in one.
It's
Which that would have been one that we could have done without the food, because it's the fairgrounds. They had plenty of food available if you didn't pre-purchase.
right.
Or, we could have gone a few miles away and grabbed all of the fast food we could have wanted.
Right. I tend to think that buying the food package is usually a good deal because it allows you to stay on site, meet your geocaching friends. And in this case, we met people we wouldn't probably have seen anywhere else. And let me tell you, if you're at an event and you see us, you have to come up and introduce yourselves, because you see us every week. You know what we look like. We don't necessarily know what you look like. So especially after 2020, I mean, there were no events. I hardly recognize my kids. My daughter doesn't come around all that much, and my son doesn't leave his room. So,
well, the one thing that I did mention that's kind of relevant to that is with the food, if you're not planning to stay on site, don't bother getting the food.
Exactly. If you know you're going to go, show up, sign the log, walk around, and then go out caching with your friends, yeah, the food's not worth it at that point. But if you're staying anytime after lunch for the breakout groups of whatever, whatever's going on in the main stage, lackey chats and things like that, yeah, grab the food, because a lot of the times you're in a place that's pretty desolate, right? So you have to drive a few miles. You've got to walk out to your car, which could be 30 minutes depending on the size of the parking lot. And there you could have spent 2 hours just to go eat and get back to the Giga event, Mega Giga.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about
Giga.
lodging. Well, I should say I talked a little about lodging and how you want to pre-plan. Yeah.
Can you go over it again?
No, let's skip that, because otherwise it gets a little bit long. But the other thing kind of related to your pre-planning is to check for the satellite events. A lot of time there will be events leading up to and following the event on, days prior or following, so that there's stuff for people to do and get to meet and greet. A lot of the single day events, they'll have registration events ahead of time.
Yes.
So a day or two before, make sure to check if you're going to be in town and pick up your packet at those events. It will save you a ton of time on the day of the actual event, because now you've already got your satellite or your swag packs, or registrations, your bands, whatever you need, and you don't have to worry about it. Now, Limax wants to know if the satellite events are like GPS or GLONASS satellites. Nope, they are not.
Oh,
these are terrestrial. These are kind of more like the repeater stations.
Maybe if we did an event at a satellite assembly station, then we could have, a GPS or GLONASS satellite event.
We probably could.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in any case, definitely check out the satellite events. That's going to save you a lot of time, get you some introductions. And if it's one of the competition style events, like a Moga or a Going Caching, those events that lead up to it can really be the key, especially if you're a newer attendee, to making sure that you can really get the most out of that event and compete. Because that's where you'll get some of the information that they can't really give you everything on the background on how to play it. They'll give you the synopsis, but this is where you go get to hang out with people who have done those kind of events before and can give you all those tips. And,
Darryl, I have to say, some of the satellite events, some of the smaller events, I like better than the big event. Right.
Well, and that's where you get to sit down and spend time with the other cachers.
Exactly. And I know several cachers who stress out at big events. So the smaller side events, they're often, a little, what do we say? A little more intimate. You can sit down and you can actually talk to people. So.
Yeah. And how many of the mega events have we gone to where it's just literally we connect, We go run around. We don't really get to spend a whole lot of time, and we don't get to spend many chances to really get to see other people, because either we've done the man the booth kind of thing where you never get to see anything, or we're running around checking out the vendors, checking out the stuff. Yeah, the adventure labs, the caches on the fairgrounds. But make that effort if you can to run into as many of those people as you can, and because it's a lot of fun to go out and experience caching with fellow cachers. And you never know when you're in these mega events, if you can find a local cacher, that really helps identify the hides in that local area. So if there's a little bit of a intricacy, you'll get that. Limax said that he's one of the ones that's overwhelmed at a mega event.
Yeah. So, I mean, you get the big, it's like going to a county fair.
Yeah. Pizza Ninja asked which event has the best pizza, and he's just asking for a friend.
Chicago.
Okay. I'll go with that, but I'm not sure which mega event's in Chicago anymore.
Oh, I don't know.
We might have Scott Burks on tonight. So, Scott, if you're on, let us know which mega events are in the Chicago area.
Do you like Chicago deep dish pizza? That's the question. Not everybody does. It's an acquired taste. And Darryl, I've never actually had one. So,
see, the big mega event that I can think of for the Chicago area is West Bend, because West Bend is like all of the Chicago cachers I know try to make it up to West Bend, because that's an awesome event that's well worth checking out.
So Geo Woodstock 8 right here in the great Pacific Northwest, they had a booth with Pagliacci pizza. Pagliacci, the sad clown.
Okay.
I don't know what, it's an opera. It's an Italian opera. Anyway, so that was really good Pizza Ninja. So you never know, food trucks can be amazing, or they can be a food truck.
On the lines of the pizza or food or whatever on the fairgrounds event grounds, we've seen all kinds of stuff where it's the catered buffet. I've seen some that are like a boxed lunch, which is right now I kind of feel that's what we're going to see, is more that box lunch kind of thing.
I definitely feel for the next year or so that everything's going to be pre-portioned.
But we've seen some interesting ones too, where you'll get credits of some type, tickets, whatever, and you can go to either food trucks, which is a great way for the events to take care of it if the food trucks actually show up, because we've heard horror stories about events planning like that, and they'll have like a quarter of the food trucks show up that they were booked.
Yep.
So that turns into a nightmare in itself. Yeah. But the most interesting was one of the Geo Woodstocks, where it was right in a small but lively city.
You're thinking like St. Louis?
Yeah, the St. Louis Geo Woodstock. It was St. James or something was the name of the city. I can't remember. But yeah, it was just outside of St. Louis. It wasn't in St. Louis. But it's right off the bike trail. There were a bunch of really cool little restaurants. So they did this deal where you've got a meal for a ticket that they would give you. And you just take that to the restaurant. They give you, one of these options, whatever. So you got to experience those different venues.
Exactly. So it
really worked well.
It really did. You had a voucher for a lunch, and you could go to a set of restaurants. It just wasn't anybody around. It was, predetermined. And so they knew people were coming, and they had these ready. And we had some delicious meals there.
Yeah. The problem that they actually ran into was almost everyone went to that bike cafe, because it was the closest one.
Right. Oh, yes, you're right.
I thought it was the best of the places, which is why we went there, because we had our little social media event there too ahead of time, which is something else to watch out for. Is keep an eye out for those social media meetups. Podcasters, vloggers, anyone that you follow on social media might have some kind of event which is a great way to go and meet those people.
Right.
But yeah, so in the St. Louis event, everyone was going to that one place because it was right there, but it really had an excellent menu. You know, I really enjoyed that place. I kind of want to go back just for visiting that place and doing the trail.
I want to do the trail. Yeah.
I really want to do that trail.
You could get a meal, rent a bike, do the trail, come back and get your second meal of the day and be done.
Yeah. Or coffee. They did coffee and all that kind of stuff too. But you know, there were a bunch of other restaurants up into town. Just the people didn't want to venture that far off, in part because they were all on the trail doing the caches along the trail that were placed for the event, including, I think, 1 or 2 WV Tims.
Yeah. There were several gadget caches.
Yeah.
A couple of them were WV Tims. And that was a lot of fun. I mean,
it was awesome. I really like that.
Darryl, for me, that was the first event of that type that was in a town, right? So you were at a park with plenty of services around you. Other ones have been at fairgrounds, which are fairly distanced from services.
Yes.
Right? So, you look to know where you're going, pay attention. If you're at a fairgrounds, it's probably best to stay there, depending on, there may be food half an hour away, but with traffic coming and going, walking to your car, getting back in, it could, like Cincinnati, that one, we were relatively close, but to get in and out of the park took a while.
Oh, absolutely. It's not something that you really could do quickly, but if you're going to be out doing the power trails or whatever.
You look thirsty.
I am thirsty.
You should take a big drink.
I just took one drink, but I got to finish my thought here.
Okay, go ahead.
But the power trails and that kind of stuff, if that's what you're going to be doing, you just have to plan your stops around getting to something. And like at West Bend, there's plenty of power trails out there. You can go out, do the power trails, come back to the city, get your lunch, go back out and do power trails. Mm-hmm. Or, do some power trails, come back and do some other, cool caches around the city. So you got to kind of plan that stuff out, especially for things like food. And at this point, I would probably add services, the mm-hmm. restrooms, because restrooms and that kind of stuff can be a lot more challenging now than it was 18 months ago.
Exactly. I foresee a lot of the restaurants not allowing a public restroom except for paying customers.
Yep.
Especially when you have an event of that size, right? There's going to be porta potties, and porta potties are porta potties. Okay. It's going to be in the summer typically, and porta potties are hot porta potties, and those are not fun ones.
Well,
did I say what I needed to say without saying it?
Aside from Cincinnati, I don't think I've ever run into a fun porta potty. So,
okay,
moving on. I'm sorry?
I've seen pink ones. Those are kind of fun.
No,
okay.
They're just trying to cover the disgust.
Yeah.
Exactly. The things to remember for when you're actually going to go to an event. First thing that I want to bring up this time, which I don't think we've ever really talked about before, is paying for things.
What do you mean, Darryl?
It used to be that a lot of the stuff was cash only.
Mm-hmm.
That has changed dramatically, again, largely because of the pandemic situation. But even before then, you were seeing a lot more people with the portable card devices. Right. So in many cases, you're going to be able to do a credit card if you need to.
But still a good idea to have cash.
Exactly. Bring the cash. There's going to be a lot of those food trucks that just don't do it.
Right.
You're going to run into some of the people who are just selling for the sake of selling. Right. Hey, I've got a collection of coins. I'm going to buy a booth and try to get rid of my coins. And they might not have a square or something like that. So given that kind of situation, it's always best to have both the cash and the credit card.
Right. And I think our next point touches on this as well. Even if you expect, oh, yes, everything's going to be by card, mobile service is an issue, right? Yeah. Or the credit card goes down. Yeah. Credit card readers go down. Cell service is always an issue. You get 500 to 5,000 people in one area, especially geocachers who are actively checking their phones, actively using a large amount of data. You're going to have cell connection problems. And if your vendors are using their cell phones for credit cards, that may be a problem. Now,
one of the things to remember is even these venues like the fairs where they have plenty of cell coverage for the fair, a lot of the time the cell phone companies are bringing in the mobile towers. They're not permanent towers. They're little trailers that they wheel in, connect up, and they set up there for the event. They don't tend to bring those in for just one weekend.
right.
So while it might be perfectly fine for the fair, it's not fine for that geocaching event because they just haven't brought that in for it. And even if they do have plenty of coverage without it, when you have that many geocachers, we're all, checking on caches, we're downloading Adventure Labs, we're doing all of these things that typical people don't do.
Mm-hmm.
That's not as big an issue, I think, as it used to be, because we have so many people who are now, the Instagram crowd. So they're doing more of the Instagram viewing in lines. They're doing the selfies, all that kind of stuff. So it's not the difference that it once was. But it is still a factor.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that you're going to do things like download the caches and maps.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using a GPSR, you're probably already doing that, but on the phones, make sure you're downloading those caches, download the maps if you can, make sure you have updated maps. That's one of the things I just did on my iPhone before the show, was to download the maps for the northeast or northwest again in Cachely, because roads change.
I hadn't
Landmarks change. So make sure that you're getting the updated version. If you have something that's a couple of years old, it might be out of date. Right. It's still going to help if you haven't updated it, but if you can, update it ahead of time.
And if you're planning to do adventures, go and open the adventure in the app first, and that will cache that data locally. So if you go open it and say start, it caches that data locally, and then you can finish it even if you don't have data available. There's your pro tip. Pro tip for the day.
Interesting. Yeah. And you were also saying, I think that there's now 40
yes,
Adventure Labs allowed.
I just heard that last night. There's a mega being planned in the area. 40 Adventure Labs.
Wow.
That seems, I'm sorry, adventures. I'm sorry, GSM times 2. I'll learn. 40 adventures.
Isn't it Adventure Labs?
Well, technically it's an adventure.
Oh.
So it's 40. That means they're typically 10 each. That's 400 stops to make. That right there is
no. I think that's I thought it was no.
You're right.
4. Yeah, it's 4 groups of 10.
As soon as I said that, I knew it was wrong.
Yeah. But still, that's
40,
a lot of fines to be had on a single day, so it does help.
There are lines at them, right? If you have to.
Yeah, it depends on the type, but yeah, you'll find a lot of those.
Right.
Along those lines of the icons, though, these are some awesome times to go out for those busy days. So if you're trying to get 10 or more icons in a day, the megas and gigas are going to be the times you can do that better than almost any other time. So that takes some serious planning. Go and hit the books before you make a run like this. Try to find another event that's within driving distance. You'll hit, make sure your schedule works out, hit those events, hit all of those caches that you want to hit, like the webcams. The location list should be at the event. At Midwest Geobash, they're going to have the GPS maze.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another icon you can hit. You've got the Adventure Labs. So
maybe you want to do GC8 Neat.
Yep.
Get a CETO.
Yeah. So, it takes some work, but plan that kind of stuff out ahead of time, because you don't want to be planning that the day of.
No.
We've seen people do that, and it does work.
You know what? If you've got friends that do it, make sure you stick close to them.
Exactly. Use your friends.
Exactly. So, Darryl, what happens if you are, stuck trying to figure out this adventure lab and your phone just won't let you get there? I did it again. Adventure. And your phone won't let you get close enough and they've moved on and you're trailing behind. How do you keep in communication with them?
That's actually a big issue at a lot of these. We mentioned how the data service, cell service, can be pretty bad. So a lot of people will also use things like the FRS radios. Mm-hmm. Be careful, though, because a lot of other people are using those FRS radios. There's also the
channel 1, please.
Yes, no channel 1. The GMSR radios,
GSM times 2 radios.
No, not GSM times 2. But the other more powerful service, you do, I believe, actually need no, I think, last time we talked about that, we discovered that it had expired, but you have the higher power. Again, it overlaps and you're going to have a lot of people using those. So, be careful.
If you're going out with a group and you're all using it, test it before you leave to make sure that your channel really is the same as everyone else's. Because if you have a different type of radio,
GMRS, Limex says it's GMRS.
They don't line up. So,
yeah, and there, with a lot of those FRS radios, you'll have the privacy channels. Mm-hmm. That doesn't really do anything. You can. It gives you a little bit of extra density on the frequency because it's like squelch code, I guess I'll call it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a radio engineer, so I'm sure I'm screwing that up. But basically, if it doesn't have the right code, it's going to filter out all the others. So you're not going to hear other conversations, but everyone can still hear yours. Mm-hmm. So if it's a noisy frequency, it also gets stepped on and those codes don't work. So,
well, Limex is a radio guy, so he knows.
Yeah, he might tell us. He might just be laughing at me hysterically. So I understand.
I expect him to laugh at me.
But plan the meeting times and the places for everyone that you're with, so that if for whatever reason you get separated and you can't talk to each other, at least you know where to go. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we didn't mention was the Where I Go cartridges.
Oh, there's going to be a Where I Go, and that's a great part of the busy day too, right?
Right. I was just going to say, you've always got those Where I Goes in part so that you can do those busy day challenges, but you have to download those. So make sure before you hit the road to download those caches. If you've forgotten to and you realize, oh, shoot, do it. Yeah. Well, don't do it if you're driving, but have someone in the car download those cartridges for you.
And Nick from Cashly helped with the Where I Go app on iPhone. So it's completely independent of the website and should be really nice. If you're on Android, probably GeoGo is your best shot.
That's what I keep hearing, is that GeoGo is right now the best of the Android players. But you're also going to need extra batteries and chargers.
Always.
When we've talked about all of these issues with the data, that drains your batteries. The more it's trying and failing and retrying and failing, the more it's going to kill your batteries. Plus, you're doing all of these adventures. You're doing all of these Where I Goes.
You're keeping that GPS.
Taking photos.
Yep.
Yeah, taking videos.
And
that gobbles up a ton of power.
And you want your screen bright.
Yep.
So,
So
in this case, apparently your phone's going to be dead in about 5 minutes, like from what I just understood, right?
no, it's not that bad. Okay. Side story. We did the Pokemon Go Fest this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And we had problems when we were outside on Sunday with the phones overheating and going into the thermal low power mode.
Oh, not cool, man.
It's the first time we've had that problem with the iPhones 11s that we've got. So we pulled off the battery, let them cool down a bit because we have the external smart battery cases.
Okay.
But that was a big part of it. Turn off the screen, let it cool down, pull it out of the case because the cases tend to restrict the airflow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Getting back to our actual list of things to do, make sure to check the schedule of events. Some of the sessions and activities that had been planned might have changed times, might have changed their locations, been canceled. They might even add new ones. So make sure you're checking the schedule. I've seen some places that will do the board with here's all of the events. They'll have it in the event book, in the flyers, whatever. But make sure that you've checked for corrections because that does happen. Hopefully, if they're doing it as a flyer, you're not going to see that so much. But that's one of the reasons they do it as a flyer, because typically they can print that flyer up the day before, get it printed in the packs as you get it. But there's also those social media based events. So, the meetups. So you can, check Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I don't know if there's too much else going on. Snapchat used to be a thing. It doesn't seem like it is so much now. I don't think people are going to do that through TikTok. Is there anything else that you can think of that people would be using, though? Of course, we've got the
Discord.
I don't know how much people use Discord for geocaching. They might. And if you've got a following, a group rather that you're using Discord for, let us know, because I'm curious now if that's actually a thing. I don't doubt it is. I just haven't heard of it. But yeah, things like the vloggers, the podcasters, they're going to do their meetups long in advance, but they might have the updates via social media.
Right. Oh, we're going to change venue because, somebody else is there. So,
right.
Or, hey, it looks like it's going to rain, so let's go over here undercover.
Yep. Or hey, I just got this cool gift from someone that we're going to give away. Come and meet me here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always a good idea to make sure to subscribe and, when appropriate, turn on the notifications for those celebrities. Make sure that you get their updates at these kind of events if they're going to be there.
Celebrities.
Celebrities. I don't remember who coined that.
I like that. I haven't heard that before. That's new to me. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
All right. Anything else that you can think of that we should have?
Boy.
Limax says vlogger events. That sounds more overwhelming than a mega. I think he's seen video of Joshua's events.
Yeah. Well,
he has quite the following.
Yeah. Another good point to those vlogger events. Sometimes they don't know exactly where they're going to be in the venue, right? Oh, we've got a tent somewhere. Oh, we found out it's near the east entrance. Meet us there. So things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes they'll get the information. Okay, I'm going to be at this tent. Yeah, this tent doesn't really work, so we're going to have to move because of it. Or, oh, my tent is not where they said it was supposed to be.
Exactly. Oh, there's no power there. We've moved to.
Yeah, so that's a lot to consider, a lot to prep for.
Did you
for
talk
the day of the event? We did not talk about the vendors aside from cash, cash or credit.
So oftentimes, if you're going to an event, you can order from vendors, and they will give you the option then to pick up at the event, and you don't have to pay for shipping. Right. So there's a way to save on shipping. if you're buying one of the big ammo cans enough to sleep 2 small children, that might be worthwhile. Then you just got to hike it out to your car and put it in.
Or wait till it floods and use it as a boat.
You will be the only one with a boat. You could use it as a canoe for the river caches and be ahead of everyone.
Ooh, I saw one of those we're going to turn a dumpster into a boat things the other day, and I was just thinking, what a waste of a cache.
That's what you were thinking? Not is it the dumpster's not going to float? But okay, I'm sure.
No, because it was floating at the time.
Okay,
I was wondering why they got into it, but it was one of those like smaller dumpster kind of things, and it was they actually had an outboard on it, but it had the lid, so it was like, yeah, okay. Anyway,
and yuck. I don't want to be closed in there.
Well, this is true.
Like a porta potty in a river.
But if they were in it using it, I'm not thinking that it was a dirty kind of dumpster. I think it was like it looked like it was one of those like construction dumpsters. So I'm thinking, construction debris.
Don't try the cardboard dumpsters with the wire sides, with the wire mesh sides. Those are bad for boats.
Yeah. Okay. So
pro tip.
Wow. Anyway, we are getting long on the episode actually, but after the event, of course, make sure that you get all of your logging done. It's going to be a busy, crazy day for most of us. Hopefully you're there with someone else who's also doing the logging.
Mm-hmm.
Double check your logs against theirs after you've done it. You just go to their finds, make sure that you have your smiley next to all of the caches they found for that day. Doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it can save you an oops, this didn't get logged. And ironically, we actually had one of the caches on one of our recent runs where the log was accepted, but it was never counted as a find. We had to actually go delete the log and recreate it.
That is odd.
That is very odd. And it worked when we recreated it, but it didn't count as a find, didn't count as a smiley, so it must have like posted it as a note, even though it showed it as a find.
So, Darryl, do you suggest then putting all your finds as drafts?
I, especially at the events, always saved as drafts. Don't submit live. And it's not that you don't want people to know you're away from the house, though that's a good reason. It's the same data problems we've had and mentioned before will bog down your connection. And I've seen all kinds of errors. I've had it where like the Cachely, when you send the cache logs, it loses track of the connection for one, doesn't get the acknowledgement, errors out, you try to send it again, or it tries to send it again, and then it errors out saying that you've already submitted that log.
Right. And I've had that in a normal day of caching from Cachely, right?
That's what I'm saying.
So, yeah, good idea. Save them as drafts. And also that kind of lets you know where you are for the day, right? Oh, look, I'm at 199. I should go do one more cache.
It also gives you the chance to go back and make minor tweaks to that. If you want to add your total find count for the day to your logs, great. If you want to say, hey, this was, my busy day and I managed to find X number, you can go back, change that when you're done, then submit all those logs.
Yep. Limex says I usually don't submit live. I'm usually in the middle of a 400-mile road trip for 8 caches. Wow. That's serious.
Yeah, he does a lot of those weird ones as we talked about a couple of weeks ago. But the other thing is plan for next year. They'll usually announce at the event when the next one is. That's when you want to make your hotel plans. As long as you can cancel that without a penalty, there's no risk of making those hotel plans. Just get it done, out of the way. Save the date with a hotel and hopefully get a lower price.
Yep.
If the price goes down,
Cancel.
usually there's a update policy that that you can get through whatever the service is or through the hotel.
Mhm.
At the very least, you can cancel and rebook.
Mhm.
So,
And I assume, Darryl, you told them to stay as close as possible.
I did not, but that was kind of implied when we were talking about it, because I mentioned, they tend to book up and get expensive.
I like the idea. We're running long. I'm sorry. I like the idea of staying as close as possible. However, you can often get better deals a little farther out. And if you're going to be gone all day anyway, it really doesn't matter how far that hotel room is away, right? As long as it's convenient enough.
And if you're planning something like the busy days,
Mm-hmm.
staying close to the venue can be a very bad idea. So again, this goes back to your pre-planning.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be doing a busy day, you might want to start your caching run at one end of the city and end at another end, where you actually, have the hotel at the first cache your way along and out to your hotel for that next night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, that kind of planning is awesome if you can do it, but, and Limax says that he had to book a hotel while sitting by the skunk train this weekend. Last minute change of plans.
I don't think I want to know what a skunk train is.
Oh, I've heard of the skunk train. I don't remember why it got that name, but yeah, the skunk train is really just a train, if that's the one that I've heard of.
Okay.
It's not a very pretty train, but yeah, it's just a passenger.
I bet
service.
it stinks.
Yeah, I don't remember why, and I don't know that I want to know why.
Hey, Darryl. The Pickle Ninja says, thanks for the good show. And the pro tips. Just had to throw that in one more time.
Wow, you have a day of moving and you're getting into weird sound effects.
Endorphins are pumping right now. I'm ready.
Oh, Limax says it's a great looking train. Fort Bragg's to Willits, California.
Willits or will it not?
I'm having problems with the new font with the L's and I's and T's all starting to like whoosh together.
Is it smaller or is it just me?
No, it's not smaller. And this is inside baseball kind of thing. This is the StreamYard changed their font, and it's less easy to read. It's less clear.
Right. I'm sure we can get more words now on the screen, but
no, I don't know that we can. I think the big change is this is a heavier weighted font. So it's like the thicker letters, but it doesn't have so much space between them.
Yeah. It is what it is. We'll get used to it and we'll forget when it changed. But right now, hashtag bring back the old StreamYard.
All right.
Oh, I'm in rare form.
Yes, you are. But do you have any megas that you're planning on hitting for the rest of 2021?
Yes. There's one here in Washington State, the Tri-Cities Geocoin Challenge. They have the most incredible geocoins.
With a name like that, you would expect it.
When you see something like this is incredible, right?
I so badly want one of those.
Before that was the plate. It was a tray. It was a huge coin with steampunk food implements on it: fork, knife, spoon,
food weapons.
Yes. So yes, that's a mega event, and that's going to happen in September. So that's coming up quick. I'm planning to go.
At this point, I only have this event planned, but I'm hoping for some others.
Mm-hmm.
Not likely, but hoping. And if I could make it, which it turns out I can't because of the timing, I would definitely hit West Bend again this year. That's always a great one to hit.
That's one I really want to go to one year. I missed it by a week one time.
Well, no, that's Midwest that you did.
Oh, Midwest. Sorry.
Yeah.
I missed it by a couple of days one time, but yeah, I want to do that one too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not close enough together that you can do both of those. But,
For me,
hopefully
they're
you can make it out
far
there.
away. So
Yeah. They're not close enough to each other geographically or time-wise.
Yeah. Okay, Darryl, you don't have the endorphins running like I do. Do you want me to close the show?
Why don't you close out the show then?
Hey, check the Cashmaniacs website at cashmaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cashmaniacs.com or through the many channels of social media. Your support helps keep the Cashmaniac shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cashmaniac shows. Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Humphenauer and Darryl Wattenberg. The show's copyright 2021 by Darryl Wattenberg, all rights reserved.
Cash with the Cashmaniacs.